Jay Shop.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Cavalier Connection podcast. I'm your host, Jack Lowe, joined tonight by the one and only Jay Ballard. Jay, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Homecoming week. Excited to get the Who's back on the field this Saturday.
That's right, man. It's been a long weekend, a long week, a bye week. It's like, man, I was doing all right during the weekdays. We got to Saturday. I'm like, where's Virginia? I need my Virginia football injected into the veins. Nowhere to be seen. But guess what? Tonight's Wednesday at the time we're recording this. Tomorrow, by the time you guys are listening to this, it's Thursday. We're only a couple days away from game day, so we cannot wait for that. We want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by A Squared Pizza. Hey, the Who's are back in town in Charlottesville Saturday. Be sure to make the tailgating nice and easy and pick up some A Squared Pizza. They're the best deep dish style pizza you can find in Charlottesville. It's so easy. You just give them a call and you go pick up the pizza, take it to your tailgate. No grill required. You don't need to make your own food. You just bring your plates and you serve yourself some A Squared Pizza, and I guarantee you it will fulfill any hunger you might have on game day. So be sure to go check them out Saturday or anytime. You can check them out. Thursday Night Football is tonight for those of you who's watching. Even on Sunday when you're watching the NFL slate, definitely go check out A Squared. With that being said, before we get into our football talk tonight, we want to talk a little bit about where the Who's stand mid-season and what's going to need to happen if they've exceeded expectations, if they met expectations, what needs to happen the rest of the season. But before we get to that, we want to get to our Minster's moment of the week this week. And obviously the Who's are on a bye as far as the football team goes. But some news came out Wednesday, Jay, where kind of unfortunate but kind of cool to look back on the career of one Malcolm Brogdon, who was a really great star in the 2010s era for Coach Tony Bennett, really a part of one of his first big classes, an incredible career. And we've got some highlights when he was with the Pacers here we'll take a look at for our Minster's moment of the week.
And now Brogdon for three. What a shot by Brogdon, his second of the half.
What an important shot.
Lakers are just 6 of 15.
Get it back to him and let him take it himself.
Little teardrop by Brogdon. Game is tied.
Well, he knows Caruso can't guard him. LeBron is a lot different.
Pacers tied with the Lakers at 102.
Great move. Got that rim to protect.
And number 7 has put the Pacers in front in Indy.
So there was Malcolm Brogdon, who is a stud for Virginia. And it really is a shame that he never got to that national championship run with Virginia. But Jay, what are your thoughts on his career with UVA, his career in the NBA? He had a great NBA career too.
He did. I think I saw he averaged 15.3 a game, just below Ralph, which was at like 15.4. So super close. But, I was actually looking forward to him playing this year with the Knicks. I think he would have been a good piece for them. Could have probably seen, if he'd have been able to stay healthy, seen him play some playoff basketball. But, I think my favorite memory of Malcolm, aside from just the lockdown defense that he was like the modern Cornell Parker. You could put him on the best defender or best offensive player and know that they weren't going to have a great game.
No matter the position.
Probably my favorite moment of his career was the game winner against Pitt.
Yep.
I think we're down 2 or it was either down 2 or tied, but hits that 3 at the top of the key. It pretty much, walked it off. And I think Brogdon, singular player, probably the best example of what a Tony Bennett player is.
Yeah.
Tough, team-oriented, intelligent, and gives you everything he got. I think he gave everything he had to the game of basketball, and nothing but good and well wishes to whatever he does next, which I'm sure will be huge.
and defense. He has great defense, which Tony Bennett would be proud of. And it's kind of weird seeing. I feel like he's the first name other than like Mike Tobey that comes to mind, where one of Tony Bennett's guys retires from the NBA. He has a lot of talent in the NBA right now, but he's like the first name that comes to mind. Like, man, like he played a long time ago at Virginia, and I think he's retiring a bit young compared to some other NBA players, but. He had a good little run. I think he won Rookie of the Year with the Celtics, if I remember correctly. And
it wasn't the Celtics. It was I want to say it was the Pacers.
That's probably that's right. I think that's right. One or the other. He played with the Celtics too, but I think you're right. It was with the Pacers. Yeah. So yeah,
I was I'm pretty sure. I don't know if you were there.
I know what you're talking about. The Miami game.
He got say again. Yeah, it was his senior night. Or no, it was the night they retired his jersey.
Yeah. So Virginia, I remember very distinctly because I was very upset at one other host of this podcast for not taking me with him. I was young at the time. I was probably, like 10 years old or something like that. But Malcolm Brogdon got his jersey retired against Miami. I remember distinctly also because not only did I not get to go, I'm pretty sure Virginia lost that game, and it was a big game, I want to say.
3 at the buzzer.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, I remember now.
Miami dogpiled on the court.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so that was it was rough to watch on TV, but an incredible ceremony at that. So congratulations, Malcolm Brogdon. Hope your future endeavors go well. And he's the winner of our Mincers Moment of the Week. Be sure to go check out the Mincers at Stonefield or on the corner and get your gear for Saturday night. With that being said, Jay, moving on, football. It's been exciting. Normally when you get to about this time of the year when it comes to Virginia football, and some people are, but normally the mass UVA fans are moving on. They're like, okay, they're looking ahead. Basketball season. It's starting in a couple weeks. It's starting in a month. This is exciting. No, basketball season is still exciting. It's still coming up, but fans still care about the football team because the football team is 5-1, Jay. 5-1 with a win over Florida State, a win over Louisville. They look as hot as ever. They've won 4 in a row. Let's just start with this. What are your initial thoughts? Have they met expectations? Have they exceeded expectations in this first half? Just your initial thoughts, and we'll dive deeper into it after that.
Well, I don't remember exactly where I had them at this point, but I think I had them at 4-2 after this first 6. It might have been 5-1.
I think after the first 6, I'm looking at it right now. You had 5-1 because your only loss in the first half was to Louisville.
Okay, so I had NC State as a win, Louisville as a loss. So
and Florida State as a win.
Yeah, by that standard, I can't say I'm surprised, but I guess I'm surprised at overall how well I think they've played. These have been wins that have been very impressive. And previous seasons, even when Virginia would win, it would be, a fairly ugly performance.
Yeah.
So, it makes a huge difference when you have a quarterback. It makes a huge difference when you have an offensive line. We have weapons everywhere. And so I think if I'm being honest, we lost one that we should have won, but we also won one that we should have lost. I mean, it took 2 defensive touchdowns for us to beat Louisville. They outplayed us. I'm not going to say they were the better team because I don't think we played particularly well. Chandler missed a lot of open throws in that game. I'm not sure that he wasn't still a little banged up from the Florida State win. Mm-hmm. But to the team's credit, to even be in a position to win that game, because you're coming off that win at home against Florida State. It's really hard. You can talk about hitting the reset button and flushing that game down the toilet. It's really hard to flush a field charging win like that and get ready to play arguably the toughest team on your schedule in their place. They're undefeated. That's a tall task. That's a tough ask. And so to be in a position to win, they made the plays, got it, and so hats off to them. Just unreal, honestly, to be at this point with what's ahead. Normally, like last year, if you look to the back half of the schedule,
Oh.
if we had started 5-1, well, we did start 4-2, but if we'd have started 5-1, even last year, I would have still said maybe we get to a bowl. But
Yeah, the schedule was insane. It was
Yeah.
insane last year. When I look at if this team has met or exceeded expectations, I mentioned it in my article. You can go check it out at thecavalierconnection.com. We joked at the beginning of the season because we both had the exact same schedule predictions at 9-3, and my loss, I predicted them to lose to Louisville as well. And they're 5-1, so they're the same record as I predicted them to be. But I think you hit the nail on the head of they look good. They look like a good football team. It doesn't look like they're barely slipping away. And when you look at these close games, I know there's NC State, but as far as Louisville and Florida State go, one of the biggest issues with this staff and with Coach Elliott and the biggest question marks coming into the season, they've had so many close games that they've lost in the fourth quarter. And what has Coach Elliott done? He's turned them into wins. Now, NC State's a different story. They lost the NC State game, which was really frustrating and was very frustrating at the time. But you won the Florida State game. You found a way. You found a way to win against Louisville when it looked really ugly. And it took, like you said, 2 defensive touchdowns and a couple mistakes from Louisville and a missed field goal and all. They find ways to win the football games. And that's something that this team has not done under Elliott. I really can't name you, but so many times. Maybe against Boston College last season. They have had so many one-score games in the fourth quarter that they've let slip away. So I think that's been really, really good. If you would have told me coming into the season they'd start 5-1, I'd 100% take it. And I also thought the loss was coming against Louisville, not NC State. So, I mean, I said going into these two, Florida State and Louisville, if you could just get one, that's huge. And they got 2. So very, very impressive. And I've been really impressed with this team.
I just want to think about this now. If we're sitting here at 3-3, this is a much different podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a much different podcast.
Yeah.
And we're literally 2 plays away from 3-3.
Yeah.
So, how thin is the margin for error? We're playing really well. We're 5-1. But the margin for error, especially with the injuries that we've had, I think if we don't have those injuries, the margin is a little greater, right? But with the margin for error being reduced, you get in those close games, and while we questioned, at least to each other through text messages, I know some of the play calling, especially against, and this was at the Florida State game specifically in overtime on the first possession, we were upset with, to say the least. I thought the overtime in Louisville was much better. Came out with the little tight end release, the little lob over. So I think that shows growth. They did something different. They didn't just come out and pound it into the pile 2 times, like they did at Florida or at home against Florida State. So, but the margin is small. The margin's small, and got 6 more games to go.
Yeah, definitely. And so we want to dive a little bit more into what has happened with the team over the first half. Very briefly, I'll touch on this subject very briefly, and then we can move off of it. I feel like we just have to talk about it, even though there's really nothing to talk about. Very unfortunate what happened with Wallace Unamba, offensive tackle for Virginia. Clearly something happened within him breaking a team policy. Virginia staff has said there's not going to be any further comments, so we're not going to know what he did, but he's been dismissed from the team.
I will say, Jack, I don't know how reliable the information is, but I did receive some information that it was, and I don't know that this is all real, what it was, but some reckless driving, very high rate of speed. But again, I don't know. We don't know. That's information that was passed on from someone to me.
Okay.
But
interesting. I didn't hear that. So it could be that, but regardless, Wallace is not going to be with the team anymore, which is a blow. He was a very good piece for the offensive line. He played well against Coastal Carolina. He got hurt in the NC State game, but since he's been hurt, I think the offensive line has been fine. It hasn't been as good, but that's because they've been tested a lot more. They've been tested against way better teams, and I think the offensive line has been good without him. And you've got some other pieces that are starting to get healthier and healthier. So I think Virginia's going to be okay. It sucks, but I'm glad that Coach Elliott is holding them to a standard like that. And it shows that he means business. He's not just saying this stuff to say it, saying, "Hey, we're going to follow every team policy." Like, he's serious. I'm glad to see that. Obviously, I'm not glad to see the situation arise. So I did just want to mention that. For those of you who missed it, yes,
Yeah.
Washington won't be returning this season. But that leads me into you got something.
Well, I was just gonna say, whatever it is, I got to put my faith in Coach Elliott that no matter what it was, whether it was the driving incident or it was something totally unrelated to that, I just trust that Coach Elliott, being the man that he is doing the right thing. So
100%.
it's not really our business to know every detail of these young men's lives. So we just have to trust and believe that, Coach Elliott's doing the right thing. And I believe that. So we get Bowley back, this weekend. That's big. Whitmer's on the right side. Just based on what I'm trying to read the tea leaves of the press conference, I'm not sure Brady's going to be back this week. I think he might need another week.
Close. Yeah.
Which means Drake slides over to center instead of playing in his guard position. But, we'll see. But we're still in a much better place than we were. We might get Wallabob back. I'm not sure. Again,
I'm not sure when. Not this week. Maybe he's practicing next week. I'm not too sure, but I know he's not far.
Yeah.
And hopefully before, within the next couple weeks, he will come back.
And I'm not sure about Sipe. Maybe Sipe is back.
Sipe should be back, I think. He should be either this week or next week. He should be practicing this week. Now, I don't know if he's going to play or not. From what I've heard, he should be back within this week or next week. He's listed in the depth chart as a backup, so this week. So, but the depth chart can only tell you so much. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I trust Coach Elliott, whatever it is, the man he is, and how he portrays himself. I do trust that he's making the right judgment. But that kind of transitions to what I want to talk about first, really quickly, about this first half. One of the brightest pieces of the team is the offensive line and what they've been able to do, despite a lot of injuries to the transfers that we got really excited about. They've held their own, and they've had some help from Chandler Morris getting out of the pocket. But how important has that been, Jay, as well as getting the run game going? The run blocking has been pretty good from the offensive line as well.
Yes, it's huge. I mean, it sets the table for everything. I don't care who the quarterback is. If you don't give them time to process information, they're not going to be very good. I don't personally believe that AC would be having the season that Chandler's having. I don't think he's the quarterback that Chandler is. I don't think he's the leader that Chandler is. However, I don't think Chandler would have succeeded with last year's offensive line play either.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, this combining this line being better with a quarterback that makes good, quick decisions for the most part. And then, running backs that are exploiting holes. I mean, Jamari Taylor is just incredible. There's been several plays where, it seems like you're a beat away from the whistle blowing and he squirts out of a pile for, a long touchdown run. And X has had, been strong back there. But I think, this is Jamari's backfield. He's earned it. X going to get his. Noah's going to get his when he's healthy again. I don't know. Was he on the depth chart this week?
Noah Vaughn is on the depth chart, listed as an or with Harrison Whaley for number 3 and 4, which that's how it was before he was hurt. So
and Harrison Whaley's gonna get a few touches a game. All good players, all really good players. So I just go back to the talent that was brought in. I wrote an article, I think last week on this, that Virginia has really turned into the blueprint for a successful portal season. And the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. I mean, next year, if you look at our roster, we're a very old team. So, we're going to be back in the portal, and the portal is going to be different because it's not the Wild Wild West anymore. You got the one transfer period. I think money is going to be more regulated with the house settlement. It's just going to be different, and it's not going to be quite the wild, wild west that it's been. So recruiting becomes more important again. What a time, though, for like a team like Virginia Tech, a team like Penn State to be struggling. Penn State has poached Virginia players for years.
Yeah.
They just had a player decommit from Virginia. I hope we're on the phone. I hope we're on the phone.
Yeah.
What a time for Virginia to be successful. When Penn State fires their coach, Virginia Tech is struggling. Like, we are owning the state this year. Yes, JMU is good, but they're not Power 4.
Yep.
So
ODU.
ODU had a nice season. They pounded Tech. I loved it.
They lost to Marshall, though.
But they lost to Marshall. They're down 48-10. So I can't take it but so serious. Like, it's an any given Saturday, but I really think Virginia's in a position that they haven't been in a very long time to kind of take over the state. And if you can do that for one or two cycles, you can really flip the script quickly.
That's all it takes. And I like how you mentioned that recruiting is going to become a little more important, because I think Virginia has stayed grounded with their high school recruiting. Yeah, they went buck wild in the transfer portal this offseason, but if you look at this coming class and the class before for Coach Elliott, he's brought in some very nice prospects. He's had a couple of really nice high school classes that he's brought in. And again, I say this with everybody because you never know. Assuming that everybody stays and everybody develops, because it sounds like a lot of the recruits we talk to trust in Elliott's program and trust that he's going to get them to a position to succeed. Virginia has some very nice high school recruits that are either freshmen with the team now or getting ready to be freshmen next season. And they're going to develop in this program and be really good studs, I think. So I think Elliott's also ahead of the game with that. And it will be interesting to see how the transfer portal works out this coming offseason when it first opens. So it's gonna be really, really interesting. And I like what you mentioned about all the running backs. I agree. Jamari Taylor's backfield, 100%. He's running back number 1 on this team. I love having 4 different running backs, though. Whether it's one guy being tired, one guy being banged up, you go to the next. All 4 of those running backs are capable of being a Power 4 starting running back, in my opinion. And Jamari Taylor just so happens to rep it all.
Yeah, I was saying, and the good thing about them is they're all different players. Like, and if you set, you think about any sport you play when you're playing an opponent, when you can get used to their speed, get used to their physicality, get used to what they like to do, the game gets a little bit easier. But with these guys, they're all different. They're all different styles. I would say Jamari and Harrison might be the most similar of the two, but Noah and Zay, a little bit of similarities, but I mean, it makes it difficult as a defense, because just when you think, okay, Taylor's got to be getting tired, we pounded him. Here comes X. X gonna give it to you. X gonna give it to you. You know what I mean? He's gonna give it to you, and he's gonna be running, just blazing track speed, and then Noah shifty, super quick. And so Harrison, power guy, but has breakaway speed. He proved that with that 97-yard run. So,
and it also matters for the defense. You got to bring in different personnel for some of these running backs. You game plan for some of these running backs, and you got to figure out how you're going to stop one guy. But then, they just switched. So now we got to sub with them and figure out what we want to do to stop this guy. And you saw this against Stanford, where Stanford was not going to give up the run. They sold out for the run a lot in the first half. And, well, what happened? It opened up the passing you had Terrell Harris with 3 touchdowns in the first quarter and Cam Ross with a couple deep plays. It is just and Coach Elliott talks about complementary football, the offense and defense, which is good. The complementary football with the run game and the pass game, though, the run game gets really well. You get teams scared, stacking the box, trying to stop the run. Well, guess what? We have some playmakers that are going to make plays down the field too, and a quarterback that can get the ball to them. You want to talk a little bit about the pass game, Jay?
Yeah, one guy that we haven't yet you didn't mention there, and I would call him the glue guy on the offense, because he could literally play 100% of the snaps. It's Jamal Edgerrin.
Yes.
When I wrote the article, I think I named him like the team player award or whatever, because I think that kid takes just as much joy in a pancake block on a DB as he does catching a 30-yard pass down the sideline.
100%. Yeah.
I mean,
He gets in
got
trouble
nasty,
a little bit for it.
Yeah, he's got a nasty streak in that run blocking game that I love to see. And he knows how to use his body to catch the ball. He doesn't need a lot of separation. He can just out physical defenders, and we've seen how effective that can be. I mean, you look at what Florida State's, the last two receivers that we faced. I can't recall their names off the bat. They were both zero. Number 0.
Deuce Robinson,
and then the kid from Louisville.
Yeah,
my God, they were studs. Using size, quickness, and speed. But you named Terrell Harris. He will take the top off. Cam Ross, he's working in the middle of the field, but he can also take the top off.
And again, like we mentioned with the running backs, the receiving room goes deep too. You've got guys who are young who are subbing in and out. Justin Thomas being one of them. Dylan Newton-Short gets in there for a couple plays here and there. Cam Courtney.
I was going to say, your guy, Cam Courtney. I think everybody thought he would get more run, but with the guys that we have, he's having to just be patient. And I think his time will come probably next year because
100%.
We lose a lot of guys if he's willing to stay with the program. I think he'll pay off big dividends next year. But
yes,
Dylan, Josiah Abdullah, I think a lot of people thought they'd see a lot of him. We haven't seen a whole lot, but the future is bright. We got some more recruits coming in, wide receivers. Isaiah Robinson, who's kind of a forgotten guy, but he might be one of the most talented of all of the freshmen.
Yeah,
looking ahead 3 years from now, not just right now, with his skill set and his size. So, future's bright if we can keep everybody in town.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, complementary football with pass and run game is incredible. The run game has been rocking and rolling. The pass game has been rocking and rolling. And you have a quarterback, which I'm not going to dedicate a whole section to him because we already know. We've already talked about him, Chandler Morris, who has completely been the glue to all of it.
MVP.
The MVP. He's put everything together. He is calling the shots. He's making audibles. He's doing his thing. And he's been incredible in the pass game. He can get out of the pocket and run. We can talk about him all day long, so I'm going to leave that alone. I want to transition now to a part of the team that stepped up big time in these last couple weeks, and that's the defensive line. As far as pass rush goes, as far as stopping the run goes, we kind of complained a bit about Coach Rudd and his defense not getting enough pressure. And really, throughout the first couple games of the season, Virginia never brought pressure. There was a handful of times in the first 4 games combined. But then you got games 5 and 6 against Florida State and Louisville, and all of a sudden, we're bringing pressure. Look out. Virginia's bringing 6. They're bringing 5. They're getting after the quarterback. They're getting the running back in the backfield. Jay, talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved Mitchell Melton coming on.
Oh, man, that's my guy right there. Love him.
He's come on huge in the last 2 weeks, and I don't know if it was just that step up in competition that kind of brought it out of him, or if it just took a little while to get acclimated to a new defense, new teammates and all
I think
those
also
things.
it's because he was a rotational guy at Ohio State, and now he's playing almost every snap with Virginia. That's also an adjustment too.
Yeah, that's a good point. And a name that I think was an afterthought, has turned into maybe our best pass rusher, and that's Rickert from was it like East Tennessee State? And he was a late transfer in. It was kind of like, okay, here's this extra piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew he was going to be good when Chandler named him within a second of being asked who in practice is giving you the most problems.
Tennessee Tech.
So I mean, he's really come on and he gets to the passer and just relentless. Juggernaut. He's in the middle. He's not getting the headlines, but he's taking up a lot of space. He's making plays. He's letting other people make plays. I just loved everything about this team. I really do. I just love this team. I love that we have pieces on every level that you can talk about as, legitimate good players. They're not Virginia good. They're good. You know what I mean?
Sundays.
Yeah. potentially could play on Sundays. And one of the things that concerned me was that all these new pieces, everybody said, okay, we got a lot of talent. But when you take the best player off the defense, you still got to replace him, right? And Devin Neal's come in, and he's not made the game-changing plays that Sanker, made last year, but he's been a solid, steady rock on the back end.
Yep.
And makes tackle. He's a good tackler. It's just been a joy to watch Virginia football. And how many times? I mean, I've been able to say that in my life, but how many times and how many years have you, Jack, been able to say Virginia, like Virginia basketball, a thing of beauty, Virginia football, a thing of beauty?
It's been once, controversially twice, maybe 3 times. That's 2019. You could say 2018. You could say 2021, maybe. But they didn't make a bowl game that year. It was still exciting.
The offense was fun.
Yes, the offense was fun. The defense, not so much.
Yeah.
When you talk about missing your best play, and you're talking about Jonas Sanker, about the game-changing play, you know who has made a game-changing play? That's Cam Robinson. And we were missing Cam Robinson due to preseason injury the first few weeks of the season. But I'll tell you what, his impact is shown. You can tell when he's on the field and if he's off the field. When you talk about the middle of the field at Mike linebacker, he is the rock for this Virginia defense, whether it's stopping the run of the backfield, coming after the quarterback, dropping back in coverage. Robinson does it all. He had the pick 6 against Louisville. You just can't – it doesn't get any better than Cam Robinson. But as for the pass rush, I like you mentioned Mitchell Melton. I love that guy. He's been incredible. I think another thing too is he's had the broken pinky. I think he still had the cast on against Louisville. But
he has an interception.
Yeah, I know. That's the most annoying thing that he didn't come down with it. But the pinky's gotten better and better. I don't expect him to have the cast on for the Washington State game. If he does, I'd be surprised. But he has been incredible. His pass rush and his run defense these last couple games. He had 2 back-to-back huge plays against Florida State coming out of the half. Love him. And then Daniel Ricker is the best pass rusher on this team, I think. And you mentioned him. He's getting through every play, I feel like. You look in the backfield, the quarterback's down. Number 52 is right there every single time. And also, you got to mention Jameer Carter being the rock on the defensive line for run stopping. The run defense centers around him. And even if he's not doing it on the stat sheet, his presence is known. He's making guys double team him and leaving another hole open. And I know I'm just going on a rant naming every player on this defense, but this is what you have at Virginia right now. It really
I got to name one more, Jack. I got to give you one more that we don't beat Florida State without the play of Pavard.
Yes.
Jason Pavard.
Yep.
That interception when they were going into the end zone when it was still 0-0, I think, that play was incredible. To get the tip ball and, you tip it to yourself, get the interception, and then
Game
to
winner.
get the interception to seal the game in double overtime. Outstanding play from him. And he's been around the ball. Carnley's been around the ball. I think his tackling has improved the last couple of weeks. I kind of got on him a little bit for missing some tackles, especially against NC State. I wish we'd had. I mean, I think we win against NC State.
I know.
With Cam,
9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, and it's frustrating as we watch them lose to Virginia Tech, get blown out by Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some frustration with that, but overall 5-1 with, I mean, literally Washington State, you're a 17.5-point favorite. UNC, you're going to be a 2-touchdown favorite.
Cal.
We didn't know what we were going to be. We didn't know. I stupidly said Dez versus Belichick. I picked Carolina before the season.
I did too. Yeah.
And now, obviously I wish I could change that. But two, that you're double-digit favorites. You're 7-1 with a tough trip to Cal, but Duke just blew them out at Cal.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're every bit as good as Duke. So, I mean, can we go to California? Tony Elliott has even in the years when Elliott struggled, they played well on the road. They struggled to defend Scott Stadium. This year we're 4-0 at home. We're defending our home turf. Can he take that team to California on a business trip and come back with a W? And I think he can. So you win that one. My gosh, Jack, you're 8-1, right?
You got Wake Forest.
Wake Forest coming in. Now they just beat Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Can they go into a stadium and win a game? Absolutely. But again, you're going to be a double-digit favorite. You're 9-1, setting up a monster game at Duke. Monster, because Duke could come in still only with 2 losses, and I think neither of their losses are in the ACC.
They're 3-0 in ACC play.
Yes, so you're looking at potentially a 6-0 versus 6-0 ACC game. It would be game 7 in the ACC schedule for both teams. So that in itself could be a mini ACC championship game. The winner would almost be guaranteed if you get that game and you go into Tech in Charlottesville at 10-1, you are legitimately not only playing for ACC championship, you are legitimately playing to get into the CFP.
What's that, Jay? I couldn't hear you. Could you say it again for the people in the back?
You are legitimately, and this is a long ways down the road, Jack. A lot of things got to go right. But I say a lot of things have to go right, Jack, but more would have to go wrong. Listen to what I'm telling you. Stuff has to go right, but more would have to go wrong for us to lose any one of those games outside of Duke. I mean, for us to lose any of those games besides Duke, I mean, we should be looking at worst at 10-2. And even if you say, okay, well, on the road at Cal, that's tough, whatever. Or you want to say Virginia Tech, I cannot live. I cannot live with a loss to Virginia. Can't live. I don't think I could make it through the day. I think I would die in the stadium if we're 10-1 with the CFP on the line and a 4 or 5 win Virginia Tech team comes in and somehow, did the unthinkable. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there.
I would have to escort you down the bridge, walking across Alderman to make sure you don't jump.
I'm going to tell you what you would have to do is keep me from fighting the Tech fans that would inevitably be charging our field again. And you would have to keep me out of prison. So.
So you hit the nail on the head where I was going to go next with it after naming some of these players who have been so impactful. You got through the toughest stretch of your schedule. Your toughest stretch of the schedule was skinning Florida State at home and Louisville on the road. Now, granted, I have to mention it. Florida State win isn't looking as good as we thought it was. They lost to Miami, which I'm not too surprised by, but they lost to Pitt. So now it's like, okay, how good is
Florida Pitt's a good team. They're
not bad.
Team.
Pitt's not bad, but definitely not a top 10 Florida State team, I wouldn't say, like we thought they were. But it's still a good win. It's still a strong emotional win. I still say it's a program turning point, in my opinion. And then you beat Louisville, who one of the toughest defenses in the country. They were undefeated at the time. So now, like you said, all I mentioned in my article in the CavalierConnection.com, take care of business like you're supposed to. Do what you are supposed to do. If you do what you're supposed to do, you're giving yourself a shot to go to Charlotte, and you're giving yourself a shot for the playoffs. No matter what, if you do what you're supposed to do, that game against Duke is huge. And again, not to look ahead, but that basically is a semifinal to see who's going to play in the Miami Invitational, basically in Charlotte. and Virginia also plays basketball that day in Charlotte against Dayton. I already plan on going, regardless if Virginia's in the championship or not. So I'm hoping to make my day even sweeter that day. With the football team being in town as well. I mean, could you imagine?
What a day. I don't think my 46-year-old heart could take it. Again, Jack, we went on Luke Neer, and I think your dad said 7-5, you said 8-4, and I was last, and I said 9-3.
And I changed 9-3 after that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he laughed. And yes, you did change. I'm not saying you didn't have 9-3.
I know. I was just saying.
Yeah. But on the radio, I said 9, and he laughed and said, "Oh boy, you guys really drinking the Kool-Aid." I wrote an article on I think the date is August 13th or 14th.
It was before,
and I've reposted it after the last couple of wins, and its title tells you all you need to know. Is Virginia, the CFP dark horse you should have seen coming. And here we are. I mean, a lot of football left to play. You know, you're a couple big injuries away from, you know, the season maybe turning or something. But like you said, if everything just goes the way that it should, the way that it is expected to go by people that know the game.
Yeah.
We're going to be right there. We're going to be right there. And that Duke game, you know, I call that would be like a neutral site game because Duke is no home field advantage at all.
Yeah. No.
I've been there many times.
I plan on being there, so we'll see. But I tell you, man, I lost my train of thought now. But yeah, I know what I was gonna say. On paper, Virginia should win every game. Maybe the Duke game would be close on paper. But again, this is why they play the game on grass and not on paper. You still got to go out there and execute. You can't get too ahead of yourselves. But Virginia's sitting in a pretty spot. So with that being said, we're gonna get ready to wrap this one up, Jay.
One more thing, Jack, I'm gonna say is this Saturday, Washington State.
Yep.
And there's an article. It's out as you're watching this. It is out on CavalierConnection.com. Washington State, Ole Miss, and Washington State. They did the biggest favor to us that they could on Saturday. And that was Washington State, this week's opponent, who were a 17.5-point favorite against. Took Ole Miss down, had a second half lead, lost by 4, had a chance with the ball to go win the game, couldn't get it done. But that was on the road in Oxford, number 4 team in the country. And Washington State took them right down to the wire, lost 24-20. So if Virginia was at all looking past them, thinking, oh, they got to come across the country. Oh, it's 2 weeks in a row on the, you know, coming flying long flights. Oh, they're not very good. You better understand that, you know, a loss to Washington State and a lot of your positive vibes go away. And so I think Tony has this team's ear, you know, but there is no doubt that helped because you can put on the tape and say, hey, look at these guys. I mean, they just took Ole Miss and, you know, national respect. You know, if I don't know anything about college football or if I don't know the teams very well and I'm a voter in the AP poll, you know, you can't watch every game. You look, oh wow, Washington State, they took Ole Miss to the wire. Oh, wow, look, Virginia just beat Washington State by 28 points. You know, that means something, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a golden opportunity, and they did us a huge favor last Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Before we get ready to wrap this one up, I just want to say, you know, looking forward, and we've already talked about what we have ahead on the schedule and whatever. So both you and I had this had the same schedule predictions before the season. That was in this second half. We both had them losing at North Carolina, which not looking too good now. And we both had them losing against Duke, which Duke is a very possible loss. I hope it don't happen, but you know, we'll
Vegas
get there.
The current line is Duke -2.5.
So it's a toss up. It's a toss up.
Long time between now and then.
Yes, there is. But you know, when you look ahead to the schedule, Jay, I have an idea where you're going to go with this. But if you had to give me a prediction for the rest of the schedule, what do you got? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't know which one it will be, but I'm going to say 10-2. I think we match the 5-1. I just think it's hard every week to maintain the level of play. I'd love to say 11-1, like our recruit Sean Curry did, but like I said, I think we should win out. We should win out, but realistically, as I stated earlier, the margin's not huge. You're a couple injuries away on the offensive line from being really thin, and that changes the dynamic of everything. So I'll say we drop one. It won't be Virginia Tech.
I sure hope it won't be. I think I hate to say it. I feel like realistically we're going to drop one. I think it's either between that Duke game or the Cal game. I still think that Cal game is a bit weird, going across country or whatever. And I know Duke just handled them, but it's one of those games where you just never know. You're going cross country. Cal's won a couple nice games, So
If I had to guess, I would say Duke is the team that
Duke is by far definitely the scariest opponent with Mensah at quarterback and Coach Manny Diaz over there.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you got any closing final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
I think the basketball team's scrimmaging here very soon, so we'll definitely see if we can get some highlights on that. I don't think it's going to be like televised or anything like that we'll be able to see anything. But Saturday's coming. I know you'll be there, right?
Yes.
Yep. And I know your dad will be there. I'm unable to be there. We got fall baseball. Excited, so excited to watch the game Saturday night. I put a final score prediction in my article. It's already out. And my final score was 45-20, Virginia.
There you have it. With that being said, that's going to wrap us up. We got a big game Saturday night. Hey, fans, Virginia's ranked number 18 in the country. Show up to Scott Stadium. Let's put on a great environment, a great crowd for these guys, and let's help lift the lid off of the cap of what many believe Virginia football is. Let's show the world, show the country, Virginia football is a tough place to play, is a tough opponent, and 100% can be that playoff team. Let's show up at Scott Stadium loud, strong, and in many. With that being said, that's going to wrap us up. Go Hoos.
Go Hoos.